The Peloponnesian War, 431–404 BCE, was one of the most significant conflicts in ancient Greek history, pitting the Athenian Empire against the Peloponnesian League, led by Sparta. This protracted and devastating war reshaped the political, social, and economic landscape of Greece, marking the end of the Golden Age of Athens and the decline of Greek hegemony. The war is often divided into three phases: the Archidamian War, the Sicilian Expedition, and the Ionian or Decelean War. Its causes, key events, and consequences have been extensively documented, most notably by the Athenian historian Thucydides, whose work The History of the Peloponnesian War remains a seminal account of the conflict. Causes of the war. The roots of the Peloponnesian War lay in the growing tension between Athens and Sparta, the two dominant powers in Greece during the 5th century BCE. Athens, a naval power, had established the Decelean League after the Persian Wars, 499–449 BCE, transforming it into an empire that exerted control over much of the Aegean. Sparta, a land-based military power, led the Peloponnesian League, a coalition of city-states that viewed Athenian expansion with suspicion. The underlying cause of the war was the struggle for hegemony in Greece, but several specific incidents exacerbated the conflict. One major point of contention was Athens' increasing interference in the affairs of other city-states. For example, Athens' support for Corcyra, modern Corfu, in its conflict with Corinth, a Spartan ally, and its subsequent imposition of economic sanctions on Megara, another Spartan ally, angered the Peloponnesian League. Additionally, Sparta feared that Athens' democratic model and imperial ambitions would undermine its own oligarchic system and influence. Thucydides famously argued that the truest cause of the war was Sparta's fear of Athens' growing power, a sentiment encapsulated in his concept of fear, honor, and interest. The Archidamian War, 431–421 BCE, the first phase of the war, named after the Spartan king Archidamus II, began with a series of Spartan invasions of Attica, the region surrounding Athens. Sparta's strategy was to devastate Athenian farmland and force Athens into a land battle, where Sparta's superior hoplite forces would prevail. However, Athens, under the leadership of Pericles, adopted a defensive strategy. The city relied on its long walls, which connected Athens to its port at Piraeus, ensuring a steady supply of food and resources via its powerful navy. This strategy allowed Athens to withstand the Spartan invasions but led to overcrowding and a devastating plague that struck the city in 430 BCE, killing a significant portion of its population, including Pericles. Despite the plague, Athens managed to achieve several victories, particularly at sea. The Athenian general Demosthenes won a notable victory at Pylos in 425 BCE, capturing a contingent of Spartan soldiers and threatening Sparta's dominance in the Peloponnese. However, Athens overextended itself, and a series of setbacks, including the defeat at the Battle of Delium in 424 BCE, led to a stalemate. The first phase of the war concluded with the Peace of Nisches in 421 BCE, a truce that temporarily halted hostilities but failed to resolve the underlying tensions. The Sicilian Expedition, 415–413 BCE. The fragile peace was shattered in 415 BCE when Athens launched an ambitious campaign to conquer Sicily, particularly the city of Syracuse, a Spartan ally. The expedition, led by Alcibiades, Nicias, and Lamachus, was motivated by a desire to expand Athenian influence and secure resources. However, it proved to be a catastrophic failure. Alcibiades, a charismatic but controversial figure, was recalled to Athens to face charges of sacrilege and defected to Sparta. The remaining Athenian forces, plagued by poor leadership and logistical challenges, were decisively defeated in 413 BCE. The loss of the Sicilian expedition was a turning point in the war, crippling Athens' navy and draining its resources. The Ionian or Decelean War, 413–404 BCE. The final phase of the war saw Sparta, with Persian financial support, take the offensive. Sparta established a permanent fort at Deceleia in Attica, disrupting Athenian agriculture and supply lines. Meanwhile, Sparta's alliance with Persia allowed it to build a formidable navy, challenging Athens' maritime supremacy. The Athenian navy suffered a devastating defeat at the Battle of Aegospotami in 405 BCE, effectively ending its ability to wage war. In 404 BCE, Athens, besieged and starving, surrendered to Sparta. Consequences of the war. The Peloponnesian War had far-reaching consequences for Greece. Athens, once the cultural and political center of the Greek world, was reduced to a subordinate state. Its democracy was temporarily replaced by an oligarchic regime, the 30 Tyrants, though democracy was later restored. Sparta emerged as the dominant power in Greece, but its hegemony was short-lived. The war weakened the Greek city-states, leaving them vulnerable to external threats, most notably the rise of Macedon under Philip II and Alexander the Great. The war also had profound cultural and social impacts. The prolonged conflict eroded the sense of unity among Greeks, undermining the pan-Hellenic ideals that had emerged during the Persian Wars. The brutality of the war, including massacres, betrayals, and the destruction of cities, left a lasting legacy of distrust and fragmentation. Thucydides' account of the war, with its emphasis on power politics and human nature, remains a foundational text in the study of history and international relations. In conclusion, the Peloponnesian War was a pivotal event in ancient Greek history, marking the end of Athens' Golden Age and the beginning of a period of decline for the Greek city-states. Its causes, conduct, and consequences highlight the complexities of power, ambition, and human nature, themes that continue to resonate in the study of history and conflict.